Listen very carefully to what I'm about to tell you, because this may be the biggest Canadian pension update in more than a decade. Overnight, without warning, a decision came down that changes every benefit check moving forward. Canadian pensions have just locked in a permanent boost, and millions of seniors are waking up this morning trying to figure out what happened, why it happened, and most importantly, how much more money they're about to receive. Phones started buzzing, banking apps started refreshing, and rumors started spreading across the country. Some seniors are saying they already saw a small bump in their pending deposits. Others are hearing from friends that the increase is bigger than expected. And now, for the first time, we can finally explain exactly what this means, why it's happening right now, and what your new 2026 amount could look like. This isn't a routine CPI update. This isn't a temporary bump, and this isn't one of those Ottawa promises that fades after a few weeks. What happened in the last 24 hours is different. It's rare. It's historic. And it affects every single person who depends on Canada Pension Plan, CPP, Old Age Security, OAS, disability benefits, survivors benefits, and post-retirement benefits to get through each month. Here's the part that has everyone confused. There was no major announcement planned, no press conference scheduled, no leaks to the media. But late last night, buried inside a release from Service Canada and the Canada Revenue Agency, a single line confirmed something that almost no one expected. A new adjustment has officially taken effect. An adjustment that permanently lifts benefits for current recipients and every future retiree. Why now? Why this week? And why did the government move quietly instead of holding a big public rollout? That's the mystery people are waking up to. But the more we dig into the documents, the clearer the picture becomes. Senior advocates have been warning for years that the old calculation didn't reflect real life. They said food costs, rent, utilities, and medical bills were rising faster than the government formula was measuring. And for the first time, lawmakers and pension officials agreed. What happens next will surprise you. In just a moment, I'll break down exactly who gets the boost first, how large the increase really is, and why experts are calling this the most important Canadian pension change of this decade. But before we get to the numbers, I need you to stay with me, because there's a critical detail buried in this new rule that most people will miss. If you receive CPP or OAS of any kind, this affects you. If you're a retiree, a disabled worker, or someone living month to month on benefits, this affects you. And even if you're not collecting benefits yet, but you expect to retire in the next few years, this affects you too. Now, let's go deeper into what happened, who pushed for this change, and why our next check may look different than you expect. Now, let's break down exactly what changed, who pushed for it, and why this permanent boost just became reality. Because this wasn't a random decision. This didn't happen overnight by accident. This has been building quietly behind the scenes for months, and most Canadians had no idea. To understand the impact, you first need to understand how Canadian pension increases normally work. Every year, the government calculates something called the Consumer Price Index Adjustment, or CPI. It's based on a set of inflation numbers collected throughout the year. If prices go up, your benefits go up. If inflation drops, your benefits barely move. And for years, seniors have complained that the formula doesn't reflect real rising costs for older Canadians. The government has been using a general CPI index, even though retirees don't spend like workers. Retirees spend more on prescriptions, doctor visits, utilities, and rent. They spend less on transportation and work-related expenses. But the formula never fully adapted until now. According to internal documents released last night, a rare update to the calculation method has finally been approved. And insiders are saying it came after months of pressure from senior groups, including CARP, Canadian Association of Retired Persons, the National Pensioners Federation, and multiple disability organizations. They argued that seniors were being left behind by rising costs, while Ottawa debated endlessly. But things really shifted after the mid-year inflation report showed something troubling. Housing, groceries, and medical care were rising faster than almost any other category. That triggered quiet meetings inside Service Canada. People like the Minister of Seniors, CRA officials, and analysts from the Finance Committee started reviewing the numbers. They compared real spending by retirees to the outdated formula, and the results were impossible to ignore. Behind closed doors, staffers debated whether they should enhance the index specifically for older Canadians. That enhancement has been discussed for more than 10 years, but it never gained full traction. Lawmakers argued it would cost the government too much money. Some even claimed the pension fund couldn't support it. But then, something unexpected happened. Earlier this month, an updated projection showed slightly stronger revenue than predicted. Nothing dramatic, but enough to give policymakers an opening. And senior groups wasted no time pushing back. They argued that seniors had waited long enough. They argued that the current formula was outdated. They argued that the government had the responsibility to protect retirees from falling behind. And that's where the behind-the-scenes drama began. Sources say members of the Finance Committee met with Service Canada leadership privately. They discussed rising hardship among fixed-income Canadians. They reviewed case studies of seniors skipping meals, rationing medicine, and falling behind on rent. They looked at disability recipients who hadn't seen meaningful increases in years. And for the first time in more than a decade, there was enough agreement to move forward. What finally tipped the scale was a report showing that older Canadians were spending up to 8% more per year than the official inflation index suggested. That means your check wasn't keeping up. Your benefits were losing value every single month. And according to insiders, that's why the new decision was pushed through. This new adjustment, now quietly activated, boosts benefits using a more senior-focused approach. It gives more weight to healthcare, rent, premiums, and essentials. And because of that shift, the boost becomes permanent. It's not a one-time increase. It's baked into every payment from this point forward. But here's where things get interesting. The government did not publicly announce the exact amount in the release. They left it up to analysts to calculate based on the new adjustment. That's why there's confusion this morning. That's why people are waking up to mixed reports. And that's why so many seniors are asking the same question right now. How much more will I get? Now let's get into the part you've been waiting for. The actual numbers, the new amounts, and who gets the biggest benefit from this permanent boost. Based on the updated adjustment, analysts who reviewed the data overnight estimate that the new boost falls between 1.5% and 2.5% for most Canadians, with an average around 2%. And yes, that's on top of any regular quarterly tweaks. This is a built-in permanent jump that recalibrates your base benefit and every future increase after this. For the average CPP retirement recipient currently receiving around $804 a month, this means a new monthly benefit of roughly $820. That's an increase of about $16 every single month or more than $190 a year. For someone living on a fixed income, that's not a small bump. That's medication money, grocery money, utility bill money, and most importantly, stability. Now, let's talk about CPP disability benefits. Disability recipients typically receive lower average benefits than retirees, somewhere around $2,100 per month. Under the new adjustment, the average disability check could climb to about $1,122. That's a meaningful difference for disabled workers who haven't been able to keep up with rising costs, especially when rent and food are taking bigger bites than ever. OAS recipients who often struggle the most will see a different calculation. The maximum OAS benefit for those aged 65-74 rises from about $740 to roughly $742. For those 75 and over, it climbs from $814 to around $817. Many OAS recipients have never seen a jump like this in their lifetime. Survivors' benefits, widows, widowers, and dependent children also see increases under the same adjustment. A surviving spouse receiving $900 in CPP survivor benefits could now receive closer to $918. A low-income widow living alone could finally see enough breathing room to cover rising utility bills that have squeezed so many households this year. But here's the twist. Not everyone will see the same percentage increase. The new adjustment puts more weight on certain expenses, especially healthcare and housing. That means older retirees, those in high-cost areas, and those with higher medical costs may see slightly larger adjustments. Younger retirees and workers with lower benefit histories may see slightly smaller ones. But across the board, almost everyone sees some level of meaningful increase. And now let's talk about the timing, because this is critical. Many people are already checking their bank accounts wondering when the new amount kicks in. Here's how the rollout works. The new adjustment is already active. That means the increase applies to the next full month of payments. CPP payments are typically deposited on the third last business day of the month, so your first boosted payment will appear in January 2026. OAS payments follow a similar schedule, usually on the fourth last business day. For some, this means the boost shows up sooner than expected. For others, it means you'll need to wait one more cycle. But everyone who qualifies will see the adjustment hit their account within the next 30 days. Now, let's talk about who qualifies. This part is simple. If you receive CPP retirement benefits, you qualify. If you receive CPP disability, you qualify. If you receive OAS, you qualify. If you receive survivor's benefits or post-retirement benefits, you qualify. Even if you only recently applied but haven't been paid yet, you qualify the moment your first payment is issued. And there's something else. If you're planning to retire this year or next year, this change affects your future benefit. The new adjustment recalculates the baseline, meaning your initial benefit will be higher than it would have been under the old method. This is especially important for people who have been delaying retirement to avoid losing value to inflation. Under the new system, long-term retirees see greater protection against rising costs. To make this all feel real, let me give you a few examples. A retired teacher named Linda, who has been living on $1,200 a month in combined CPP and OAS, will now see her benefits rise to roughly $1,124. That's enough to stop skipping her arthritis medication every other month. A disabled factory worker named Michael receiving $1,050 in CPP disability will now receive around $1,071. That's the difference between choosing heat or groceries during the winter. A widow named Carolyn living alone on OAS and survivor's benefits will see her check rise from $1,500 to about $1,130. For her, that's the first real breathing room she's had since her husband passed. These increases may seem small on paper, but for millions of Canadians living check to check, it changes everything. But before you get too excited, there's something you need to know. With this boost comes a new set of rules that could affect your taxes, your GIS eligibility, and even your provincial support programs. And there's already a wave of new scams targeting seniors who are confused about these changes. Now, let's go over the final and most important part of this update because the boost is only one piece of the puzzle. With a permanent increase comes new rules, new thresholds, and new responsibilities that every CPP and OAS recipient needs to understand. First, taxes. Because your benefits are rising, some seniors may cross into a higher taxable range or face OAS clawback. Not everyone will be affected, but if your net world income goes above certain limits, like $93,454 for the July 2026 to June 2027 period, a portion of your OAS could be reduced. This doesn't mean you'll owe more immediately, but it does mean you should keep an eye on your income levels, especially if you have a small pension, a part-time job, or RRIF withdrawals. Now, Guaranteed Income Supplement, GIS. Anytime benefits rise, GIS thresholds can shift too. Early estimates suggest a moderate adjustment in the next cycle. Most seniors will still come out ahead, but it's important to review your statements when they arrive. A small threshold change is normal, but it should not wipe out your boost. Next, a warning. Scammers are already taking advantage of confused seniors. They pretend to be from Service Canada or the CRA and claim you must verify your information to receive the new boost. That is false. You do not need to call anyone. You do not need to pay anyone. You do not need to give your SIN over the phone. Your boost is automatic. It arrives in your account according to your normal payment schedule. Now, let's talk about what happens next. This new adjustment sets the stage for stronger increases next year. And analysts say 2027 could bring another boost on top of this one. That means future checks won't fall behind inflation the way they have in the past. It also means future retirees will start their benefits at a higher baseline, giving them more stability as costs continue to rise. But the most important thing you can do right now is simple. Check your deposit schedule, know your payment date, and stay informed. The next 30 days will bring more updates, and I'll be watching every development closely so you never have to guess. And before we wrap up, I want to say this directly to every senior, every disabled Canadian, every low-income worker, and every caregiver watching right now. You earned these benefits. You contributed. You paid in. And you deserve every dollar of this boost. You are not alone. You are not forgotten. And I will be right here bringing you the truth as it happens. And before I go, I want to speak directly to you. Every senior, every disabled Canadian, every widow, widower, and caregiver watching this right now. You've worked hard, you've contributed your fair share, and you deserve every single dollar of this boost. Stay strong, stay informed, and hit that subscribe button right now with notifications turned on so you never miss a critical update that could put more money in your pocket. Your voice matters. Your benefits matter. Your future matters. More important news is on the way. I'll see you in the next video. This video is for informational and entertainment purposes only and is not financial, tax, or legal advice. Pension amounts and adjustments are based on publicly available estimates and official Government of Canada guidelines as of January 2026. Actual CPP and OAS payments vary by individual circumstances, contribution history, income, and residency. Always verify your personal benefit amounts through your My Service Canada account or by contacting Service Canada directly. We are not affiliated with the Government of Canada or Service Canada.